Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're watching God, Sex, and Love. Tonight, we're going to be chatting with the award-winning Diana Indries, and she's going to be sharing more about her brand new game and much more. So, stay tuned. Welcome back to God, Sex, and Love. I am here with the lovely Miss Diana Indries. Hey, did I say it? No, I didn't say it.
Yes, it was good. It was good. It was good.
Indries.
Indries.
Indries. I have to put the R with it. How you doing, girl? Welcome back.
I am. Thank you so much for having me again. I am doing very, very well. Not that much, going on sleeping because I'm super excited. I literally, I'm so excited. I cannot really sleep for the last few nights.
Wow. So excited to be back on GSL? No.
Yes, I am that. No. Let me just, yes, I'm super excited for that too. Thank you for having me again. I'm super excited to be here and to catch up with you. I know last time we talked for hours, and I'm sure this time we will as well, because when the connection is great, it's just the conversation just flows. It's like a really good date, when you just hit it off. It was like that, I think, for us.
Yes, ma'am. I totally agree. Yeah, I was thinking to myself, I know I have another interview later on, but I'm sure there's enough gap in between because I think there's enough gap in between where we can, catch up and everything. But yes. Well, tell me, I know that you have some exciting news to share with us, so I can't wait for you to share that. But yeah, let us know what has been going on since the last time we chatted.
So since the last time we chatted, Better Topics, the card game for couples, is still going strong. People still start to find out about it, everywhere in the world, which is great. And for the past 5 months, I've been working on a new game because so many people requested it, to do more games like the one for couples that is not necessarily specific for couples, but for like friends and for people who are dating and, like other areas as well. And obviously, I thought that's such a good idea. Why not just do that? And it's very strange how God puts everything into perfect place. Because, when we were in a time where we're thinking, okay, what should be the next game? What should it be about, which niche and all of that, and how even should we how should be played and all of these. Someone actually reached out to me with an amazing game idea, and his name is Scott Allen. He is a high school teacher in Denver, Colorado, and he invented this game for his students, interestingly enough, because he's the type of teacher that I wish everyone would have, the one that is super passionate about teaching, and he's super passionate about helping his students learn life skills, like not just the theory that we have in books that we very well know is different from reality many times, but to actually teach them real life skills. And with that, many of his students, as he says it, adopted him, quote unquote, as a father figure-ish, where they actually go to him with dating issues as well. And what he soon realized was that, especially teenagers, they won't listen to you when you give them advice as much, or when you'll, direct them towards reading a book or an article on dating or stuff like that. They won't do it because they are teenagers. And I know we've been there. I know I've been there, where I thought, we invented the wheel, disregarding the fact that our parents have been on this earth for at least 30 years before us, and their parents, and there have been many generations. So what he realized is that the best way that kids listen is through games. So he invented this card game for them. And once he realized that his kids actually started paying attention and actually going to him, even on their breaks, like, hey, Mr. Allen, can we just play the game a bit more and all of this. And they actually admitted that they started having better decisions in dating because they started paying attention to more things, to more characteristics of that person, instead of just, oh, she's cute and she wears a short skirt, okay, I'll date her, like that type of thing. That many times as teenagers we just look at the outside of things and very rarely on the inside. But this game actually helped them make better decisions. And interestingly enough, even colleagues of his who are dating, like other teachers at that high school, they also started playing the game, and they started having better dating experiences because they got to a point where they could wean out a lot easier and faster whether the date, the potential date, is actually a good match or not. Instead of wasting 6 months on it, or a year maybe figuring out, are they a good match or not, they know now within a couple of dates whether should they go ahead with it or not, which is amazing. Because just imagine all the years of heartbreak and poor dating that we had, and
Mm-hmm.
could have been bypassed with a game like this.
Well, I believe that you are definitely on to something, ma'am, because yeah, definitely much needed material. So shout out to that teacher and shout out to you all as well. I'm excited to learn much, much more about it. Who knows? Might be able to collaborate somehow, so we'll chat. We'll chat.
Definitely.
But yeah, because I definitely have a heart for single people. I wrote my book about it and everything like that
Yes,
because I struggled and everything. So anything to help that move along, like you say, to not waste time and all of that. So am I correct in assuming that this new concept, this new game is centered around the dating aspect and things like that? Is it called better dating? What give me some tea.
it's actually called Better Topics, the dating game.
Oh.
Because I mean, we thought a lot about the game's name as well. We wanted it to be simple and very memorable.
Mm-hmm,
So after Scott actually reached out to us, because he wanted some help in launching the game, because he's seen how many people he uh, helped, like his students and his colleagues as well. He
mm-hmm,
thought that so many other people could reach this, because he himself has been through a divorce and he had to re-go into the dating world, which wasn't easy for him.
mm-hmm,
But him being a teacher, he was kind of okay with it, because he started studying it as well, so he understood many aspects of it. But again, with a game like this, you can play a fun game that is
mm-hmm,
also educational. And when he reached out to us, and first of all, his passion for studying and for teaching, I mean, that was the first thing that actually attracted me to working with him,
mm-hmm,
because I love these type of teachers. Like, I myself could never be a teacher in a school. I think, I don't know what would need to happen. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. On the contrary, I think there have to be some very gifted people who can actually teach. And I
yes.
know about myself, I'm not one of them. So, when I saw that passion, and I remembered my teachers that really were passionate about teaching, I still remember those lessons to this day, because a really good teacher can influence a child's future in such a great way.
Mm-hmm,
And also with a game like this, and I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant. And it also came at the right time. Again, God just makes everything fall into place, and
yes.
it gives you everything you want if you know how to ask for it. And
Mm-hmm.
clearly this time we knew how to, because alongside a really great game, we also have now a really great partner that we work with, Scott.
Awesome.
And again, he's so, obviously he's excited about the game because he created it.
Mm-hmm,
But to see him very like giddy and happy every time we talk to him, and we praise the game, and every time we hear about um, people's feedback that they played the game,
mm-hmm.
is just amazing to see, and it's so heartwarming.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad for, these kingdom relationships and, collaborations and everything like that. I know you said a few times here that it was a divine experience. And so I'm glad that he reached out and that you all able to, make this thing happen. Because again, I know that dating is tough, especially in these days. There's
Yes,
a lot going on and stuff. So it's good for, there to be some type of resources and tools for people that are going through that. It's so interesting because like I'm a part of a lot of different groups on Facebook and stuff, and one of them is a group called Let's Be Clear. So shout out to my homegirl that's the admin of that group. But and it makes me thankful for my husband and marriage all the time, just listening to the
yes,
different things and the different topics that they bring up about being single and dating and stuff that people are, some things that people might be really experiencing, but then also some things that I don't know if it's just far-fetched, like, oh, what do you guys think of this idea, and if it's just like a random question, but it's hard. I mean, it seems like it's tougher out here now than it was back when I was going through my situation. And it was already tough then. So I'm like, oh, just every time I see a crazy question or a crazy like, scenario that someone shares that they're going through with dating, I'm like, oh God, thank you so much for taking me out of that. Thank you. I've been thinking my husband all the time, all this different type of stuff. So shout out to everybody that's trying to do something to help that. Because again, right now it's definitely
Thank
uh,
you.
interesting time.
There are many things to it, and some might say that yes, you have to go through the dating life so you can actually learn what you like and what you don't, because yes, obviously what I knew at 15 and what I paid attention to at 15 is very different from what I pay attention to now. But still, we do, I mean, how to formulate this, we still can do things better. So for example, if dating, let's say in our parents' age, was done in a certain way and it had a certain pace,
Mhm.
also in their time the choice was a lot scarcer than now, considering they didn't have the internet the way we do it now.
Right.
And so in our generation, when we were dating, because I'm assuming we were dating about the same time, um, everything else kind of opened up, so the choices became plenty,
Mhm. Mhm.
but with that also comes with more knowledge, because for example, our parents, to have to date in our time when we dated, they would
Mhm.
have looked at things differently, because the times are newer, the opportunities are newer, everything that's happening is different, so they
Right.
would have needed a long time to adjust actually to the times when we were dating.
Mhm.
Similarly, if me or you would need to date now in this day and age, we would also maybe, find it quite difficult, because although, for example, us two, we do have some dating experience,
Mhm.
doing it now, first of all, we would do it slightly differently, obviously, because we have the experience, but
Mhm.
still the difficulty will still be there.
Right.
So I think each generation comes with its challenges. It
Mhm.
comes also with more knowledge, because obviously the things that we already knew about dating, our parents didn't. Like, they looked at totally different things when they were dating.
Mhm.
And again, kids these days who are dating, and not just kids, like everyone who's dating now, they
Mhm.
are looking at different things, because they have a certain different knowledge. Like, if in olden ages, for example, people were very adamant about their partner to have a stable job, have a good income, be a good husband, whatever,
Mhm.
they were looking at more, let's say, um, life maintenance type of characteristics. Whereas after that, when we were dating, we were looking a lot less at that, and we were looking, are they funny, are they smart, can I stay with this person, and all of these things, because we knew work wise is not as important, because you can always find something to do, especially
Mhm.
with the internet, especially with all the opportunities.
Right.
And this mentality our parents didn't have. And now kids today, even, they look less at that and even more about the person. Do they even have trauma? Are they narcissistic or not?
Mhm.
Are they a good communicator? Like all of these things, because they come with new
Mhm.
knowledge. They've learned, not all of them, obviously, but the vast majority of them, they learn. So that's why I think with a game like this, we can support them and give them an exact tool. Same with the better topics, card game for couples. This also is an exact tool that they can just pick up and start playing, and
Mhm.
also have fun with it. Because I know we had so much fun playing it. We've actually just played it with a couple of friends of ours just now,
Okay.
and they were laughing their heads off. I mean, it was so funny, because the way it works is that you have over 170 characteristics of someone, like it can be anyone,
Mhm.
basically. And when you play it, let's say, for example, you play it in like four. So if four people play it, it's a group game mainly, because you can
Oh.
play it with your friends, and you can play it as a party game, or, just, having some drinks and play it, or just like a game night, if you like, with friends or family even. um, and you gather around the table, and the group will have to set one of you up for dates, like potential dates, basically. So, for example, if I would be the one set up for dates, the rest of the group would choose characteristics out of the ones that they are dealt, until they build a potential date. So normally we suggest like 7 traits or so. If you want to do more, you can, but about 7 is like the ideal number, I think. And then each player will build you in a certain way, the way the game flows, and they will build you a potential date. So for example, if I'm playing with 3 of my friends, I would have 3 potential dates, and out of those 3, I have to look at each column and decide which one I would actually date in real life, because there are some good traits, many good traits, but there also are some red flags as well.
Mm.
Because as in life, many people have a lot of good traits, but we should not forget about the red flags.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I totally understand. Got you. So I was just thinking like, so it's not necessarily a couples game per se, or could a couple play it? Like, could 2 people just play the game or?
Yes, yes, it
Oh,
can be played by 2 people as well, and it also can be played by a couple too.
hmm,
It is fun because you first start with the best qualities to lay them down, and then as you go, you're left with the bad ones, and you still have to put those down as well, because um, at the end, for example, when you have like more choices, when you play it in a group, whichever date you choose, whichever person built that person for you gets the point, basically. So in couples or in pairs, it can also be played, especially as an educational tool, mainly to realize if um, you would still date the same person, basically. But also, if it's very good for like parents and kids, or grandparents and grandchildren, especially because, as I said, kids are more receptive through games. And parents or grandparents, they can actually explain why certain red flags should be avoided, because
mhm,
when a potential date comes up, basically, with like all their traits, and then you get to look at it, like both of you get to look at it and then decide, would you actually date this person or not? And then the parent can say, well, yes, even if you would date it, but look, pay attention, they also have these red flags, what would you do about that? you know so it's super educational, and it's fun as well, which is amazing. I mean, this is a game that I will definitely play with my kids, definitely.
wow. Well, sounds really cool. Okay. Cool. Interesting. I know it's definitely important to, think about the red flags, like you said. Because a lot of times we get so caught up into, the good side of people, or one of the things that I know I dealt with was like seeing the potential in someone and seeing like who they could be and everything, but then having to have a real moment with myself and understand that, okay, this is not who they are though. So, it's
Yes,
up to them to become that person. And if they can't be that, especially in a dating situation. Now, marriage and stuff is a little different, obviously, but when you're dating, it's like certain things, at least for me, I had to come to the understanding, okay, this might be something that I need to consider to as a what did they call it? Like not red flag, but I can't remember the phrase right now.
a yellow flag.
Yeah, no, like the something like deal breaker, like a deal breaker.
Mm,
Like certain red flags or whatever. Like there might be
yeah,
some yellow flags where you're like, I could,
yeah,
I could be okay. I
yeah,
could compromise on that, but some
exactly.
things, no, we can't be that. And you make the decision moving forward to, hopefully towards someone better and whatnot, towards the person that is for you. So yeah, man, it sounds exciting, man. Well, congratulations again on everything.
Thank
And
you, thank you.
definitely excited to hear that and stuff. And I know how's this with you and your husband with all this new creation and the traveling and all of that good stuff.
Oh my god. I mean, to say that we've been busy, it's an understatement. And because every time we think, okay, now we have a bit of time, we can actually relax and just chill and settle and move on with like the daily day, and get into a sort of routine, something happens, we have to go somewhere. And interestingly enough, I love it as well. And for me, one of my highest values in life is people and connection with people. That's why whenever we talk, or I have an interview, I'm so energized, Even last time, we talked like few hours, and I was still super energized after that. I was like pacing around the house. So even though I do like routine as well, and I didn't realize how much I like it until this year, um, I also welcome, the times when we go and see family, maybe because now we're closer to them, or friends even because we're closer to them too. And we had like few weeks in a row where we literally weren't at home, maybe more than 2 days. And when we were traveling, we just looked at each other with my husband and was like, well, we wanted this. So this is actually what we wished for.
Yeah.
And again, my old belief is be very careful what you wish for, because you will get exact that.
Mm,
And it's amazing because, again, working together as well on this game too, because obviously Scott did invent this game, but we had to take it and um, let's say carve it a bit, and mold it into this final product that is now.
mhm,
um, Robert still came and helped me with it as well, because I was struggling by myself. So every project like this is actually just bringing us even closer, and that teamwork that we amazingly have, it just transpires through it, because we are so good. We were just talking about this the other day. We are so good, especially when traveling. If we're traveling just the two of us, it's all brilliant. We can go with the flow. We know what our strengths are. We know what our weaknesses are. We know how to help each other in it. We make a plan and how to stick to it and what we want and all of these things. And interestingly enough, we realized that if we travel with a group and there is a lot of drama, we analyze it and realize it wasn't us creating the drama, because especially us two together, we
mhm.
gel so well together that it just flows, and it's amazing to see. And even now, because we are 4.5 years now married, we literally, it was last week that it was 5 years since we started being together the first time, which was amazing.
Congratulations.
um thank you. And it's amazing to see that he's still my favorite person even to this day, you know and this is what having the right partner does to you. you
Mm,
know Years into the relationship, he's still your favorite person. He's still
mhm,
the very first person you can't wait to see in the morning. And he's still the person that you can't wait to share things with, all the small wins throughout the day. You can't wait for evening to come. And then you're like, oh my God, look, this happened, that happened. And to be very excited together, because he will be happy for you. Like your partner will be super happy for you and supportive. And, the way, for example, I was struggling with the game and with, all the things that need doing with it, because people think you just create a game and you just put it out there. It's actually a lot of work. And he still stepped in and helped me with everything that he could. And he's supporting me every time I need his help. And basically this is my ideal idea of a relationship and marriage, is where two people come together whenever they need each other, but they also celebrate together every time, and they love each other and they love each other's company and do things together. That doesn't mean that we don't have our unique hobbies or the unique things that we both enjoy separately as well, but still the majority of them we like to do them together.
nice. Yeah, that's amazing. Actually, you took some of the words out of my mouth just now by saying that, that's the important thing of marrying the right person. Yeah, I mean that's again go back to the game and everything like that, the dating aspect and all of that. I know I think about this often. I'm like, I don't know where I would be right now if I did not, marry the man I did, and all the different things that have happened over the past few years that we've been together. We just made it to 6 years now, marriage and whatnot.
Congratulations, amazing.
Yay. Thank you. And and it's been a blessing. It truly has been a blessing. And I was thinking a little bit about what you said a minute ago as well, where you feel like you're kind of living the things that I guess you prayed about, or you're like, or you asked for something and you're living that thing. I feel the same way sometimes, and it's the weirdest feeling too, because you're like, wow, I remember when I said I
Yes,
wanted this, but at the same time, it's a beautiful place to be as well, and so again, again, no one gets anything else, y'all, it's very, very important. This dating aspect, who you marry, all these different things.
yes,
And just affects so much of your life where we don't, not say we don't realize that, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if people pay attention to that. Like, what do you think? Like, do you think uh people are paying attention to that type of thing when they're dating and when they're, going through life? Or do you think that no, it seems like our generation and younger aren't necessarily paying attention, which is why we need these games and things like that? Like, what do you think? Your perspective of that?
Oh, I think it's actually a combination of things.
Mm,
So, on one side, we have people who are paying a lot more attention because the times have changed and we are not financially dependent on men anymore. We can, as women, sustain ourselves. And then we have a variety of choices as well, especially with the internet and everything.
sure.
On the other side, we have people who are financially stable by themselves and everything is going great, so they don't pay as much attention to who they date because, well, if it doesn't work out we can always divorce you know so we have these two sides, these two extremes, let's say, but I think the majority of people are somewhere in between, where they kind of date, and then I think, again, it depends on the cultural situation and location as well. In
Mm,
some, in certain cultures is still a lot more evident than in others, where still to this day, if you're not married by a certain age, you're considered, there's something wrong with you.
mm,
um, you might be bitter, you might be crazy, you might be god knows what, why haven't you married and settled down? Because again, I still had that. Like, I was dating, like 5 years ago, I was still dating, and people were like, and I was like 27, 28 then, and people were asking me, like, literally to my face, what is wrong with you? Why are you not married yet? And it was crazy because I looked at them and I was baffled, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, well, who do you want me to marry? Well, just pick one and get married. And I was like, that is one thing I will never do. Just pick a person, whether I like them or not, it's fine. You'll get used to them. This is something I kept hearing as well, which annoyed me. And I was
mm,
like, that is definitely something I would not do, because this is about my life.
mm-hmm,
So I think the best solution is to, yes, go on dates and learn what you like and what you don't,
mm-hmm,
but also be careful who you choose as your partner. Whether you get married or not, that's beyond it. It doesn't really matter, because yes, at the end of the day, is a piece of paper which might in a certain way give you certain stability, because this person has chosen to spend their life with you, and yes, in case anything happens, you can still break that too.
mm,
But you know for a because even when my husband decided to move to the UK to be with me, one thing I told him, I said, do not come unless you're ready for a serious relationship. I never mentioned marriage. I never, I was fine even if he would propose to me like 5, 6 years later. I didn't really care anymore because I already found this amazing person. And so that's why, whether they get married or not, it's besides the point. What counts is how well have they chosen their partner, you know? Because at the end of the day, we choose the partners that we're with. Now, there is that side of things as well, where people do suffer from some trauma or some issues where they have to get fixed themselves, so they stop choosing the wrong partner. That's a
mm-hmm,
different discussion.
mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, we all have choices because nobody puts the gun to our head.
Right, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I don't really have much to even add to that, Pam. You just, like they said, that's a mic drop moment. That at the end of the day, yeah, like we've been saying and reiterating, it's just very important who you choose. I say again, with the games and things that you all are creating, you're showing how important communication is and
Yes,
whatnot. And yay, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for you all. I'm sure there's many more games down the pipeline. She's like, girl, I just got
yes,
this,
yes,
but I'm sure.
exactly. I was like, girl, let me see this one through.
Right, right. But yeah, I mean, yeah, but just with your creativity and the strong team and whatnot, I can see that. I'm sure there'll be many more. Um, I was going to say as well, like, and again, congratulations on the new partnership and whatnot. So, how has it been working with someone kind of outside of the initial team? Like, I know for me, it's been a blessing to have what I call my international dream team. These people where I'm like, I know they're just a message away or whatever. Like, and there's a few of them that I haven't even talked to verbally, just only through messages
Yes.
and stuff, but it seemed to mesh and work so well together. And so, now that you are this new person on the team and collaborating and everything like that, like how is that going?
Well, it was a very big learning process, especially for me, because I do like to control everything. And this way, I've learned to trust others as well. I've learned to trust that others know what they are doing as well, not just me. And I started learning now. I started learning. I haven't learned it yet to also delegate things. I still have to start learning how to give feedback because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I do come across as quite abrupt and blunt. And I obviously my reason behind that is never to hurt anyone. Is just to get to the point where this needs to be done. And because there are so many things to be done and only 24 hours in a day, sometimes I do come across a bit blunt with that. But it actually helps me grow every time. And even now, that you asked me this, and I'm thinking back to the last 5 months and the things I've learned only in these last 5 months, never mind since I've started Better Topics. It's been crazy how many things I've learned, how many new things. I've also learned what are the things that I actually don't like to do, and they're not in my high values. So I'm doing them because I have to, but I'm struggling with them. And I can clearly see, and now I don't punish myself anymore because I'm struggling with certain things. I just accept it like, yes, I know I don't like to do this, but it has to be done. I'll do it. And the first minute I get, the first chance I get, I'll delegate it, and I've actually started putting this on a paper, like what are the things I can delegate and to whom, because
Mm-hmm.
this is something, I think going back even in my childhood days, is I always used to take on so many things. And I used to know to do everything and a bit of everything. Never a specialist at anything, but a bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that that is just draining at the end of the day. It's not actually helpful. It doesn't help me move forward. It just keeps me on a spot because I'm so dispersed everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many people that are so great at certain things that I'm not great
Mm-hmm.
at. And that's amazing. And the moment I find people like that, I'm like, you know what? You love to do this. I hate it. You go do it well. I'll just give you feedback on it, and we can make the best match ever.
Yes, that it has been such a blessing to be able to, again, feel like I have a team and whatnot. And like you said, I think that's something I've been learning throughout this process as well, to be able to, yeah, delegate certain things, and you could just grow so much more and quicker with that. And so,
Yes.
I'm glad to hear about the expansion and everything then, and the partnership, the continue great things going on in the marriage and whatnot. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to share with us about, maybe some updates since the last time we talked?
Well, the baby project is still in works, so
Oh, okay. I didn't know if y'all were taking a break on traveling enough for that.
no, so we have been traveling this year, and we will still travel towards the end of the year because some friends are. This year has been the year of weddings. Like
Mm,
all the weddings I've avoided because I've been away in the UK and far from my family. I think all of them happened this year. Like this year, we had like 8 or 9 weddings,
wow.
and the year is still not done yet.
Right.
Also, one interesting thing is, I think you remembered when I told you how fast I met my husband, and then like within 2 months he proposed, within 4 months we had our wedding.
Mm.
And my brother got married 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
Bear in mind, he met his now wife in
Mm.
June, at the beginning of June
Okay.
this year, yes. And about mid-August, he proposed already. And
Mm.
like not even 2 months later, they had the wedding, which is amazing.
Well, they say when
So
you know, you know.
exactly, exactly. And once he applied everything that I told him, and he finally understood what is it that I meant,
Mm.
he just found the person in the most random and funny way. It's so
Mm.
funny. I mean, because in the UK we live like 3.5 hours away from London, and there is a airport quite close to us. It's like 30 miles from our house.
Mhm.
And he was planning to come home, for a holiday. And one of our friends from London was telling him like, don't go from there, come down to London. we'll go together because I don't really want to go alone. And he was thinking about it. It's like I don't really want to go to London. That's like another 3 hours trip. Like, why would I want to do that? And then, the last minute he's like, fine, I'll go. I'll go from London. It's okay.
Mhm.
So he did that. And in the plane, he was sat next to a guy, and then that guy was like, bored because the flight is 2.5 hours. So he started talking to my brother and everything and getting to know him and, just like chatting away.
Mhm.
And at some point, he asked my brother if he has anyone, in his life. And my brother was like, no, I don't. And he's like, oh my God, I have the perfect person for you. The moment we land, I'll introduce you to her, because she was working at the airport where they were landing. She's a customs officer.
Mhm.
And he was this guy's sister-in-law. So this guy was married to her sister.
Oh.
And first my brother was like, okay, but okay, this is a bit weird. And he's like, maybe she doesn't want to, like, you haven't even asked her, like, let's just not shock the girl. Like, okay,
Yeah.
because she doesn't
Yeah.
know the whole discussions we had. So
Yeah.
he's like, no, you don't understand, you guys need to meet, like, you guys have to meet. And my brother was like, well, okay, but like, this is a bit odd. And he's like, it's fine, because we're like 2.5 hours away from that airport. He's like, it's fine, next week I'm coming to your city, I'm bringing this girl, you have to meet her. So
Mhm.
like 2 days later, the guy and his future wife, then, because they were just about to get married in a few weeks, came to the city. And my brother's, well, wife, that girl as well, they brought her with them, because they're like,
Wow.
you have to meet this guy, I've met him on a plane, like, he's amazing, you have to meet him. And she's like, because after that we talked to her, I'm like, what did you think, when he told you? And she's like, oh my God, I thought, who knows what kind of creepy guy he found on a plane, and now he wants me to meet him. And he's like, I didn't want to come. She's like, but I couldn't shake him off. He's like, no, you have to come here. So he insisted so much. And literally, they've been together from day one. Like, they've met, they hit it off so well from the beginning.
Wow.
And like 2 months later, he proposed, and then another 2 months later, they're married now. So
Wow. Dang,
when
man. You just never, 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 never know.
yeah,
Like, I don't know if I told you about my little stuff or whatever, but I mean, yeah, the one time, and people told me back when I was dating and trying to figure it all out and praying and like, Lord, where's my husband? They were like, oh, when you stop looking, he'll come, it'll just happen, da da da. And I just like, okay, but I was always looking. Long story short, like the split second, I was like, I'll try love again next year. I just need to get back on my feet. I'm not even thinking about the relationship. That same day is when I met my husband. So I mean, it can just happen, just like they say,
yes,
suddenly like that. I think again, timing and everything is very important. And
yes,
it, like you just said, best laid plans, right? It's something where we can't even really take even the credit for it. At the end of the day, we're like, God,
exactly.
you just kind of put this thing together in this
Exactly, but that's
awesome
the
way.
thing. I think this is the secret ingredient to manifesting literally anything in your life. And
Mm,
now these stories are more evident because it's partners, and they are real people, basically, that they've been brought in your life in the most amazing circumstances.
mhm,
It's that feeling when you give up because you are not stressed about the outcome. You don't
mm,
have any fear when it will happen, how it will happen, is this the person, is that the person. All
mhm,
of these create fear within us.
mm,
When we give it up, and as one of our friends says it very well, delegate up, as
mm,
in just leave it in God's hands, literally leave it in God's hands from you, like leave it. The moment you truly leave it in God's hands, there is not one bit of fear left in you towards that thing. And
mm,
that's when you allow it to happen, because that would have happened maybe even before. I mean, just think about it. With my brother, he literally flew to this specific airport thousands of times in the last 11 years. Who
right.
knows how many times she was literally the one checking the passports. It can happen so many times. And
Yeah.
they've never like clicked like that. They've never seen each other like that. They don't remember to have seen each other. It's so
Mm,
interesting
yeah.
until someone actually literally brought them together. You have to meet each other. With
Hmm.
my husband, again, we grew up in the same city, basically. It was 4 years of high school and 4 years of university in the same city,
Mm,
both of us. Bear in mind, the city is not too big, and there is one main university,
mm,
different faculties, obviously, but still, as students, you tend to go out in the same places. We've never met. We don't even have friends in common.
mm,
And we had to meet like so many years later at home in
Wow.
our city where we grew up, you
Yeah.
know. So because these were moments when we literally gave the situation up, we delegated it up to God, we
Mm-hmm.
left it in his hands, like, God, do whatever, I'm like, taking a step back here. But
Yes.
the moment when we do that, God can actually work, because we are not stopping anything with our fear.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm thinking about myself. Before that, I was always stressed around this situation. I was stressed that I'm going to go home. People will again pick on me. Why am I not married? Why am I not in a relationship? Why don't I have kids? Why don't this? Why don't that?
Mm-hmm.
And all of that creates stress and fear inside us. My
Yeah.
brother as well, for years, although he's seen how I manifested my husband, for years he still couldn't really grasp it fully, like to let it fully go. you know
Mm-hmm.
the moment he did, because when he came home, he actually called me and said, listen, I will come home for a while. And he wanted to go. There are many monasteries in Romania, and one of them does this youth program-ish thing where it's like a week or 2 weeks flight of holiday type of thing up in the mountains at a monastery. And I mean, you're surrounded by priests and everything, so you're not just like left alone. But there are
Mm-hmm.
many unmarried young Christians, you know.
Mm. Okay.
So they do this in order to help them meet each other, basically, to
Yeah.
help them meet people with similar values. Basically, this is
Right.
what the purpose of it this is. If they
Mm-hmm.
hit it off and they want to get to know each other, better and longer, and then maybe even start a family together, amazing. If not, it's fine. They just create the context for them to meet in a great setting, basically, and
Yeah.
doing interesting activities.
Mm-hmm.
So like a retreat type of thing, like a singles retreat, like something like this. Yeah.
Nice.
And so my brother was like, there is this retreat, up in the mountains at a monastery. I'll go. He's like, worst case scenario, I'll just go, and I don't know, I'll just be at the monastery for a couple of weeks, help them with like chores around the house and stuff. And I was like, you know what? Just go. I mean, why not? Go.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, he gave the stress up. He delegated it and he gave it up, and he was like, I'll just do this. I'll have fun with it. If it's working, fine. If not, not. He didn't even get to be there, because that was like happening like in a month's time or something like that. He
Yeah.
met his wife, his now wife, way
Mm-hmm.
before that. He didn't even get close to the monastery and he already met his wife.
Yes.
So it was so strange. And I think this is because I thought about this as well. How interesting is that I got to meet my husband very quickly and got married super fast, and we're still hitting off. We still have this amazing relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And them too, because my brother is very different than I am. We are very opposite characters. And he still found his ideal person, like the ideal person for him. And
Yeah.
they are so good together, and they support each other. And it's so heartwarming to see that.
Yeah.
And my brother has a very quirky sense of humor. And I told him, whoever gets your humor will laugh their head off literally every day, because he's so funny if you get it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not for everyone. It's not everyone's cup of tea. But it's hers, which is
Yeah.
amazing. You
Yeah.
know. So I think once we learn to truly delegate upwards
Mm-hmm.
to God, and we literally stop every fear that we might have towards a situation,
Mm-hmm.
that's when miracles actually happen, because miracles are supposed to happen every day if
Mm-hmm.
we don't stay in their way, basically, and we
Mm-hmm.
let God do his magic, because it's great.
Wow. Look, girl. Yes, and honestly, your confirmation again for me today. I feel like I just heard a message similarly, a similar message yesterday at church and whatnot. And okay, I hear you, Lord. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going, I'm getting
He will
up,
tell you on each channel until you actually listen.
yeah, I'm delegating up. No, it's funny because basically my husband and I was talking because I mean, I think a little bit
Yeah,
about me. You probably see that I'm kind of all over the place when it comes to different ideas
yeah,
and different things, and I'm basking in this moment of being just creative and like, okay, well, Lord, I can do this, I can do that now. Okay, boom, I know how to do this. So I want to make all the things that I I guess have slacked on over the past years between not knowing how to do it. You know what I mean? So anywho, and so I started, doing all these different things where I'm like trying to figure out business wise, like, should I, what should I do? Like, should I just pause on what I used to do, or just keep
Yes.
doing what I'm currently doing? It just, and
Yes.
things like that. And it was funny because like I was talking to my husband about it on the way to church yesterday. Then we get there and the pastor starts talking about Noah and all these different things. And I'm like, okay. And then it's funny because, like I said, he was saying that there was only like one window on the boat and it was up.
Yeah.
Because basically in order to get that confirmation of when things was done and everything like that, Noah had to look up. I'm like, okay. And then here you come talking about delegating them. But I
Yes.
mean, that's real though. I mean, instead of me worrying and stressing about like, oh, what's going to happen? What should I do? Da 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 da. Like, it's a beautiful thing to trust God fully and to be in
Yes.
this place of like, whatever you want to do, Lord. Because at the end of the day, like, He has it all in control. He knows the plan. It's His plan anyway. And so whether I get my big venue now or later or whatever the case is, that's all up to Him and His timing and whatnot. I mean, maybe it's all about me just having these conversations right now. Maybe it's about me just continuing to trust Him and allowing Him to do what He's going to do and not, like you just said, getting in the way of the miracles. So, man, thank
Yes.
you for that confirmation again. I hear you, Lord. I ain't getting in the way.
The thing is, when we are in the plan, like in let's say episode 2, 3 of the plan, we don't see the end of the season just yet. You know,
Mm-hmm.
after it happened, and when we look backwards, we realize it happened in the most perfect way, with good and bad as well, because they both taught us many things.
Mm-hmm.
So, many times is that when I don't see now what the end will be, and that gives me anxiousness, like a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
I sit back and I'm thinking, God, it's in your hands. Like, I know I cannot see the end just now,
Mm-hmm.
but help me, you know, pull through this time where I'm filled with fear, for example,
Mm-hmm.
help me release this fear, because I know there's no need to be fearful of anything, because anything can be sorted in this day and age. I mean, there always could be, but
Yeah.
now we know that it actually can be sorted. So, it's trusting the work, and this is where faith comes in. It's
Mm-hmm.
and I understand it's so difficult. It's like when you're asked to do a leap and you don't know whether you're gonna fall or you're gonna hit, land. You
Mm-hmm.
don't, but if you trust it, it will work out well, because even in the case that you don't hit land when you're expecting it to, it's
Mm-hmm.
fine. You will learn to swim then, and you will still go forward. you know
Yes. Yes.
so again,
Just
after we look
progress.
backwards, yes, after we look behind at certain events, we realize they did happen the most perfect way, because I was so blown away, though, in the way how I've met my husband, considering we both grew up in the same city and we've never met.
Mm-hmm.
um that I literally analyzed everything that led to it as well. And then I realized, once I saw pictures of him, how he looked in high school, and that it clicked for me, and I said, now I get it, why we've never met before, because I would have never looked at you.
Ooh.
Because our styles in high school, for example, were vastly different. you know
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Also, he had to go through his years of learning, and
Yeah.
I had to do that on my own as well. And we
Mm-hmm.
both had to learn our lessons separately, so that when we come together, we can fully appreciate each other,
Yes.
because we have all this experience, our own experience, each side.
Mm-hmm.
We've both been through relationships and dating and everything, so we have that experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
We also got to an age where we already knew exactly what we wanted in life and from a partner and relationship. And that was the perfect moment for us to meet,
Yeah.
because that helped us and is still helping us have this amazing relationship every day. Because there
Exactly.
were things that we had to learn on our own first, our own lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're together, we can appreciate each other fully. Like he appreciates even the smallest dessert I make for him, you know. I
Mhm.
truly appreciate him for helping me around the house, for example, or even the fact that he's not leaving his socks everywhere, you know. I know this is a big thing with many people.
Mhm.
So I know people will actually resonate with this, but these are things that, and I'm not saying that, you know, if maybe we would have met when we were really young, maybe we could have hit it off. It is possible, but I'm still very confident that we would have not had this relationship now. We would have not known how to appreciate each other this way
Mhm.
unless we actually learned our lessons beforehand.
That's so.
So, you know, that's why every challenge that we have, yes, it's a challenge. Yes, it might seem difficult at times and not knowing what to do and whether it's the best decision or not. But trust that once you go through it and you're past it, when you will look behind, it will all make sense because we cannot see all the stops along the way unless we look behind.
Mm. Well, I mean that is so real that like again everything happens at the right time, and so there's no need for us to stress. Like I know one of the things that the pastor was saying yesterday was that there's some things that is that we are supposed to do, and then there's some things that is just God what God does. Like the things that we do is do it that day, whatever case is, and the thing that's for God, let God handle it. And so yeah, I mean it's a beautiful thing when things come together. I know I've done that as well. I've kind of I often think like, man, what if this and what if that? And like, what if we didn't meet? And what if you didn't come and help me that day? And all these different things. Um, but at the end of the day, I'm just so grateful to be here in this place. I guess I get informations every now and then that I am in the right place at the right time, even though sometimes I still question it, and everything as well. But at the same time too, I'm like, when I have these amazing conversations and get these confirmations, I'm just like, you know what, Lord, I just thank you, because I can't make this up that it's been a beautiful experience. And at the end of the day, I can't do anything but just tell the people that, hey, man, I'm just trusting God every day to lead me and guide me and to what to do and say. And here I am living my dream. So, well, speaking of dreams and everything, I know that it sounds like you're living yours as well. And like I said, congratulations on everything that you have going on. If you could just go ahead and remind us, like, where can we find you and where can we find the new game and everything?
So, for those of our listeners today who want to find out more about the Better Topics games, they can go to bettertopics.com. And for those who want to find out more about Better Topics, the dating game, we have just launched through a Kickstarter campaign, which is still on. So make sure to go to the Kickstarter page as well and back our game as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I truly, truly appreciate you. I'm glad to hear about all of your endeavors and everything you got going on. You know that you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure as usual. I'm so happy we got to catch up again. It's amazing.
Me too. Me too. See you next time.
That I'm
Bye.
not the type of girl that goes around and fools around. See, I'm so done with that crazy part of my past. So don't get so bold to ask, 'cause I won't go there. So be aware, yeah. I'm good, but I bet you wish that I would have a one night affair. Say what? But I won't go where you need. 'Cause right now you're looking so good. That's right. But is it worth it?
Thank you so much for watching God, Sex, and Love. And thank you to Diana Indries for joining us tonight. I hope that you all enjoyed the conversation. Be on the lookout for her new game. Go support the Kickstarter. And thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, sharing, and all those wonderful things. Have a good night.
I'm good, but I bet you wish that I